Hello guys, this is Kene once again, and today I'm here with another maths problem that we'll be solving together using Python, okay? I know that in the last video I said I was going to introduce us to um, Python for beginners, a series of lessons that people who are new to Python would find very useful in their journey to becoming experts in the language. But that will still come. It's something I can promise, right? But for tonight, we are just going to take a very simple maths problem and think about the algorithm, the process, of solving the problem, and then we'll use Python code to achieve or get to the solution, right? So I'm going to share my screen, and together we'll have a look at the question. So guys, it's a very simple one, I suppose, okay? Mohammed decided to track the number of leaves on the tree in his backyard each year. The first year, there were 500 leaves. Now, each year after, the number of leaves was 40% more than the year before. Now, the question is, what is the number of leaves in Mohammed's backyard in the 4th year since he started tracking it? Right, guys, let's understand it. Now, if we have first year, he had 500 leaves in his backyard. Then the following year, that is the second year, there was an increase. And the increase was based on the number of leaves he had the year before. So that's, from the question, we see that it is 40%. That's saying 40 over 100, which for my purpose here, I'm just going to call 0.4, because if we say 40 divided by 100, that gives us 0.4, right? So the increase was 0.4. 0.4 of what? Of the previous year's number. Just like, okay, a trader had 500 naira, he bought goods worth 500 naira, and after selling, his profit on the 500 naira was say 200 naira. So altogether, the amount he got will be how much he invested, kind of, and the profit. So that will be 700. He had 500 and he got 200 after sales, after selling the goods, the products. So altogether, he got 700 naira. So there was an increase of 200, which is represented by this percentage here. Okay, this percentage amount. Right, so that's 0.4 of, and the of there is the multiplication of the previous year's number, that is 500. And now we are told that this increase should be added. We understand that this increase, the increase is 0.4 of 500. It should be added to the previous year's amount. So it's just like, the case of the trader having 500 naira initially, and then after sales, he got a profit of 200. So how much will be in his purse at the end of the day? That will be the increase of 200 and the amount that he invested initially. That will be 500. So we need to add that profit, that increase to the initial amount. So that's why we're going to add this 500 to it. That's coming from the previous year. Okay. Then in the third year, we'll have, guys, watch. It's going to be, quite long, but I want us to understand, step by step. So in the previous year, we're going to have 0. So let me just get a final. I should just try to make this short. So 0.4 of 500. What does that give us? That's like saying 2 over 4 over 40 over 100. But let me have it this way. 40 over 100, okay, times 500 plus 500. So that gives us 200. This is 200 here. And then I add 200 to 500. That's 700. So in second year, the leaves were 700. Then in the third year, it's now going to be 40, the same thing, like the same procedure. So 40%, that is 40 over 100 of the previous year's amount, which is 700. So coming from the second year now to the third year. So in the previous year, he had 700 naira altogether, 700 leaves in his backyard altogether. Then again, I am going to add it. So this is the increase. This is the increase, okay? And I need to add it to what was there before the increase. And what was there before the increase is what? 700. So whatever value this is has to be added back to the number of leaves that he had before that increase. So this again will be 40 over 100. Then we multiply by 700 and then add it to 700. Let's see what that will give us. So 280. So 40 over 100 times 700, that's 280. And I'm going to add that to, I'm going to add the 280 to 700. That gives me 980. Then in the fourth year, okay, we'll have 40 over 100, which is like saying 0.4, okay, as a floating point number. So I would have that 40 over 100 of 980. So the increase on 980 is what we have here. And then we need to add it to what we had the year before. That is coming from the third year to the fourth year. Now, what did we have in the third year? So I need to add that increase to the amount that he had altogether in the third year, the number of leaves rather he had altogether in the third year. So that gives us what, guys? So for the fourth year, I have, this should be 4 over 100. That's like saying, sorry guys, just a moment. I need to do some maths. I don't think I want to use a calculator. So that should be 4 over 10. Then I need to multiply this by 980. Okay, so the zeros, I'll take the zeros off. So that will be 4 multiplied by 98. Then what I get, I'll add to 980. So this should be 2 from the back. Then 4 times 9, 36 plus 3, 39. So that gives me 39. So I'm going to add, that gives me 392. So I'm going to add 392. You know, we get 392 after this operation here. Then we need to add it to the 980. So 392 plus 980. So that will be the total number of leaves in the 4th year. 392 plus 980. So that's 2 from the back, 2. Then 9 plus 8, 17. So that gives me 7. Then 9 plus 3, 12 plus 1, 13. So that's 1,372. So in the 4th year, Mohammed should have 1,372 leaves in his backyard. So guys, so you go from one year to the other, find out what the increase is. So the increase is based on the value that you had that you got from the previous year. So having got that increase, you need to add it to that number that was already existing from the previous year, and you just continue until you get to the desired year, the 4th year. So that's the thinking. Okay. Now, how do we implement that using Python? Right. I'm going to set some variables. So I'm going to say number, using the snake case, number of leaves. The snake case there has to do with using underscores. So number of leaves, I'll just set it to the initial 500. You guys understand? Then I'm going to say the increase. The increase based on that percentage value should be 40 divided by 100. That will give me 0.4, but I'm just going to put it that way. So the computer will do the calculation. Right. Then having done that now, I'm going to say, okay, you know what? For I, where I will be the value of what it is, the count as we go through the loop. So for I in range, now there's something about this range function here. I'm going to start from 1. From the 1st year, instead of starting from the default 0, because of course there's not like 0 year, it's from the 1st year, year 1. And I need to go from 1 to 4. So year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And you know that the range function ends just before the number that is given as the second argument. So that second argument is not included in the count. So if I wanted to go from 1 to 4, then I need to give 5 as the second argument there, so that it gets to 4 and breaks. It stops at 4. So it does not count 5. That's why I'm saying, okay, 1 to 5. That 1 to 5 means that it will stop counting when it gets to, after it has taken 4. So it will not include 5 in the count. That's what I'm going to do here for I in range 1 to 5. Then I need to say something, guys. Right? In the 1st year, it's already 500. So we're not doing anything in the 1st year. We're just going to use the 500 that we have. However, after the 1st year, so coming to the 2nd year, we need to do some computation, just like this, right? So I would say if the I, I for 1 is the 1st year. So I as 1 is the 1st year. Then I as 2 is the 2nd year. I as 3 is the 3rd year. I as 4 is the 4th year. So I'm not going to do anything when I is 1. However, if I is greater than 1, That is, if I is not the first year, because if I is the first year, then nothing is going to happen. We're just going to have the 500 leaves, which we have already set here as the default value of number of leaves. But if I is greater than 1, then we need to do something. We need to take the increase, all right, and increase based on what? Based on the previous year's value. So this is the increase, which is based on the previous year's value. And the previous year's value is the number of leaves, right? Whatever is the number of leaves. So number of leaves will give me the increase in terms of the amount, not the percentage now, the amount or the number of leaves, right? Which I am now going to add to what in this case now Mohammed had the previous year before that year in question. So I'm going to add that to number of leaves. Then having done that, now I would now set the number of leaves to the new value that we get from this entire operation here. That is what I'm going to reset as the number of leaves. So number of leaves will be set to whatever we get from this entire operation. Okay, so having done that, I'll simply get the number of leaves, then print that number out. So print number of leaves. That will give us the number of leaves in the 4th year. That I use 5 here because I need to stop at 4. The count needs to get to 4, make use of 4, but does not make use of 5. That's how the range function operates or behaves. Okay, so let's see if our program gives us what we need. Yeah, so you see, guys, remember when we looked at the problem and tried to get the solution manually, we got 1,372. And using our Python program, we still arrived at 1,372. So we could use this program for any number of years. If I wanted to get the number of leaves in the 6th year, I'll give 7 as this second argument. I mean, in the 6th year, I'll give 5. Sorry, I'll give 7 here, so that it doesn't count the 7, it just stops at 6. 6 will be the max number of years, okay? So let's see how many leaves in the 6th year. So 2689. That's a fraction, but I don't think that we need to cut the leaves and blah, 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 right? So we need to do something here. We need to approximate it, right? If we can't say 7.5 men, okay, so it's going to be 7 or it's going to be 8. In this case now, we don't have a full leaf, point something. So I'm going to round it down if I have this for the 7th year. So I'm just going to come here, number of leaves, and simply do something like, let me import maths. Oh, okay, import maths. Then I'll come here and just say maths dot floor. That is round it down. And let's see. So that's 2689, number of leaves. I hope you understand, guys. All right, so thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.